let's talk about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. All right. I don't know if you guys noticed the Seymour Hersh Substack that came out yesterday that several people are talking about, but it's not making nearly as big a news as it should. It should be probably the biggest story that's being talked about, but you won't see corporate media talking about it. So let's get into it a little bit. Back in September 26th of 22, we remember that the Nord Stream 2 pipeline just blew up. And it was like, whoopsie daisy, who did it? The U.S. was like, Russia must have did it. And nobody bought that. Why wouldn't Russia just turn off their pipeline? It made no sense for Russia to do it. And of course, Russia blames the U.S. It certainly looked like the U.S. did it, or NATO, and even the Polish member of parliament, what's his name? Radek Sikorski. The same day he came out and tweeted, "Thank you, U.S. for blowing up the pipeline." So, I mean, everybody thought the U.S. did it. It made no sense for anybody else to do it. But of course, the White House denies it, and everybody just sort of moves on, and it was just sort of forgot about, like everything else. And yesterday, Seymour Hersh came out with his Substack, and this can be described as nothing less than an absolute bombshell. Of course, corporate media won't be talking about it, but he basically revealed that, yeah, the U.S., using the CIA, using covert means, planted bombs and blew up the pipeline. The story is, in a dark way, kind of funny how the whole thing went down. I encourage everybody to read the Substack. It's a decent read, but I encourage everybody to read it. But basically, it was going to be a covert mission, and they were just going to blow the damn thing up and be like, "Oh, we don't know what happened." And then Biden comes out, and he just can't stop from bragging. It's like when he bragged about how, he told the Ukrainian president that, if this investigator isn't fired, you're not getting the money. And go ahead, call Obama. And sure enough, he got fired. Like, he just can't help but brag. So he comes out, and he was given some sort of press conference in Germany, and the lady asked him about it, and he said that if Russia invades, then the Nord Stream 2 pipeline will not move forward. And his exact words? Jesus, Biden is so ridiculous. He just says, if Russia invades, there will no longer be a Nord Stream 2. We will bring it to an end. And the journalist is just super confused. She's like, what do you mean you'll bring it to an end? You can't just... She was visually confused because you can't just blow up a pipeline. It's like an act of war. You can't just do that. So she's super confused. She says, but how? How will you bring it to an end? She says in her German accent, and he says, I promise you will be able to do it. And, Newland said that basically the same thing like 3 weeks before. And, so what's funny is it was going to be a covert operation up until this point. And then Biden spills the beans, and the CIA is just kind of like, well, I guess it doesn't need to be covert anymore. So they just did it as like this. They weren't even going to do it as the guise of like, we had operations in that area, because it would be too obvious that we did it. We were just going to do like a super covert thing. And instead, since Biden spilled the beans, we just decided to have operations over there, operations with, with the Swedes, or Norway, sorry Swedes, they decided to do, like, I think they even put a submarine base over there. But they basically, since Biden spilled the beans, they went from a covert operation to they don't need to even be covert about it anymore and just be obvious. But White House is still denying it, and yeah, that's basically the gist of it. He revealed in excruciating detail how we are essentially responsible for blowing up a pipeline that, I mean, the amount of money that generated for Russia's economy was substantial. I encourage you guys to look into it because I mean, I think this was an act of war. And the reason I'm talking about this is because these aren't like little games that are being played. This isn't like when Trump was talking about how he had a bigger button than Kim Jong-un. You know, Trump was just talking shit. I mean, I don't know about you guys. People could talk shit to me all they want. I'm not really gonna do anything. But I mean, once you start fucking with my money, we have serious issues. Like serious issues. And Biden just fucked with a lot of Putin's money. And these games that are being played at a world level, and this shit affects everybody. Of course, the White House denies it, but I trust the Seymour Hersh guy. This is the dude that brought us the story of the My Lai massacre. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the My Lai massacre story. If you're not, Jocko Willink does a really long podcast about it. There's a book, I can't remember I think it's called like 4 Hours in My Lai or something like that. It is just, the My Lai massacre was something that took place in Vietnam. It was an operation where soldiers were basically told to go into a village and kill, like take no prisoners. Thing is, there was no soldiers there. It was just men, women, and children. And they murdered like 470 something people in not even like they did in Nazi Germany where they lined them all up and shot them. They did horrific things to these people. Horrific things. Rape, torture, just unimaginable, unspeakable things. And these were American soldiers. And that's why I have so much anger is the wrong word. That's why I rage so hard against like a mob mentality, because people completely lose their minds and they do shit that they didn't think they were capable of. And what happened in the My Lai massacre is exactly that. And Seymour Hersh is the one that brought us that story. I highly encourage everybody to listen to Jocko Willink's podcast on that. It's a long one. It's like 4 hours. And it's hard. It's hard to listen to because they go into excruciating detail about what happened. And I mean, a lot of the guys, the soldiers that committed the actual acts weren't really held responsible. I mean, a few guys went to prison, but I mean, what they did over there is the stuff of nightmares, and everybody should know about the My Lai massacre. So that's why I trust this story, and he put a lot of work into exposing all of this, and the Substack is really detailed, and it gives a lot of crucial information, but basically what it reveals is we blew up the pipeline. We planned this long before Russia invaded. This whole thing about Ukraine and Russia and us supporting Russia because Putin's invading, it's not about that. We could give a shit about Putin's aggression towards Ukraine. The US government could give a shit about that. It's not about that. It's about pipelines and money. If we gave a shit, we wouldn't be allowing the aggression in Yemen. It's all a charade. You guys with the Ukraine flags in your bios are being fucking played. You're being played. And I mean, you guys don't even know. You guys call everyone Nazis that doesn't want to wear a mask, doesn't want to get vaccinated. You call people Nazis for the most ridiculous shit. And then you literally champion Nazis. Like there's actual Nazis. The Azov Battalion in the Donbass region. It's amazing to me. And even that gets called a conspiracy theory. Like, provable shit that just keeps, it's such a psyop. Anything they want to go away and discredit, they just call it a conspiracy theory. And yeah, well, I think those are all being proven true. So that's it. That's basically all I got. Yeah, my first video. I hope that told you guys something, and I hope you guys go read Seymour Hersh's Substack. Let me see what the title of it is. Seriously, I'll link it in this video. How America Took Out the Nordstream Pipeline. There you go. It's not much, doesn't need to be more than that. February 8th, his Substack is awesome. Please support the guy. Please support all these independent journalists, Glenn Greenwald, Matt Taibbi. I mean, yeah, these guys are great. They're some of the only guys talking about the things that are going on right now in an honest way. So, all right. Thanks for watching. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.